Woohoo! Oh, it's looking good. Perfect. In today's video, for the first time in many years, I'm going to be trying to take some 4x5 film photos. 4x5 is an amazing sheet film format. It's much larger than 120 film, which means you get a lot more detail, a lot more depth, and the colors out of it are beautiful. The trade-off is that it's incredibly cumbersome to shoot. You have to do it with a view camera. You have to load the sheets individually, and it is quite pricey for every photo you take. I'm doing this because I recently revisited my first ever attempt at a serious photography project. And when I went back into my archives from about 5 years ago, I was super surprised to remember that my first attempt at a photo project was shot on 4x5. When I was looking at those negatives and I contact printed them, I was blown away by the beauty of the colors and the detail in the photos. And I figured if I could do it 5 years ago, I could definitely give it another shot today. So that's exactly what I'm doing in today's video, as well as trying to approach a new subject for a potential photography project with this format. What I want to try and photograph with this 4x5 camera is the freeways in Los Angeles. I was particularly inspired to try and take some photos of the freeways here by the documentary Taken for a Ride that you can watch here on YouTube. I'll link it down below. It's a very interesting documentary that talks about how the freeways of Los Angeles were built. All that to say, I just want to try and take some photos of some freeways here, see what happens. I'm not committing to this project yet. This is that initial experimental stage, and I want to do it on 4x5. So with that being said, I'm going to load up my cameras and head out to some different locations to see what kind of photos I can take. Well, I made it to my first location, albeit a little bit later than I would have hoped. Surprise, surprise, when you sort of film everything, things tend to go slower than you might expect. So I don't know if this is too late. The color in the sky is already kind of gone and I'm not even done setting up, but I'm still gonna give it a shot. Let's see if I can get this figured out in a reasonable amount of time. This should be fun. I haven't taken a photo on this in like, I don't know, a couple years, I would say. And now I'm deciding to try this for the first time again, while the light is literally fading in front of my eyes. So this is, I probably should have practiced a little, but hey, we're still gonna do it because I'm here. Why not? Make sure everything looks kind of straight because that makes a big difference. That's looking nice. Here goes my lens. I'm using a 150mm lens here. It's pretty standard. Let's see how that looks. Something like that. I totally forgot I can raise the perspective with this. This is exciting. You know what? I totally forgot my light meter. Wow, that's cool. Let's see how this looks. Ooh, now that's exciting. Unfortunately, this does not have focus peaking like my Blackmagic does. That'd be kind of tight. Film in the dang camera. Now this is the part where I totally guess my exposure. 1 whole minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 59, 60. Nice, that's it. All right, I didn't mention it, but this is the 5 and the 2 interchange. There's sort of a glowing cross way in the distance too. I don't know if that's something that large format would pick up. Medium format definitely wouldn't. So that'll be interesting to see, I think, if that glowing cross all the way in the distance gets picked up. I was pleasantly surprised by this image, and I think I kind of like it because the freeway and the natural environment around it kind of carry the same amount of weight in the composition. There's also a lot of interesting little details here, and I was kind of blown away by the amount of resolution in the 4x5 image. You can see everything under the freeway overpasses, down to like the details of the storefronts in the bottom right of the frame. I think this was a pretty good start, and I did actually make a second exposure, but this did have a fat light leak on it. So just the joys of film photography showing themselves here, and I'm glad I took 2 frames. This is only the beginning though. I think I need to shoot many more of these on 4x5 before I really get this down. I don't think there's sort of any time that you just try something once and the first time it turns out perfectly. So the next time I see you, we're gonna do another one of these. Hopefully it'll be better. Hopefully it'll be more on time, and maybe I can do sort of a golden hour and then a blue hour type of shot, and also bring a light meter. The next morning, I took a nice little hike out in Glendale to try and photograph another freeway interchange. And this hike ended up taking me quite a bit longer than I expected it to. So once again, I showed up to the scene a little bit later than I would have liked. But I set up my 4x5 camera anyway and started taking a photo. All right. Shutter speed, test it. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. Woo! All right, here goes the film. All right, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! I like this composition here. I like the different layers between the mountain range in the foreground, then you have the freeway in the middle, some city blocks, and then another big mountain range in the distance. What I don't like here is the light. I think I should have shot this earlier, right before the sun actually came up, and I think it would have made for a much more even focus across the frame. There's a little too much attention on the mountain right now because it's getting that really bright orange morning light, and I want this photo to be more evenly contrasty, but definitely a good composition to come back to in the future. While I was up here with my camera and I had another sheet of film loaded, I decided I should walk to the end of the trail and see if I could find another composition. 2:32 at 1 second. Let me close the shutter. Perfect. I actually really like this composition because it's filled completely with freeway. But once again, I'm not a fan of the contrasty sunlight because I think it takes away from some of the details. Also, the skyline was completely in the photo when I was looking at the ground glass of the camera, and in the negative it was slightly cropped off. So I don't know if that's just the ground glass being a little bit too big or if I loaded my film wrong, but this is something I need to come back and reshoot in more even light anyway. But I think this was really successful for a first attempt. This was very much an initial attempt, as you saw in the video. It was my first time trying 4x5 in so many years, and so it was really fun to go back and experiment with it. And hopefully I'll do a follow-up video on this series, maybe trying to make some more images. Maybe I'll try it with the GFX, with these really high resolution digital images, to see if that style suits this potential project. I don't know. There's so much room for interpretation here, and I hope it was a fun experimental little video to watch. Before I wrap things up though, I do want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Squarespace is an incredible all-in-one website building platform that you can use to build your photography portfolio online. I've been using Squarespace for so many years, and they've made it so easy to get a website up and running with my photography. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can hit the link in my description for a 14-day free trial of Squarespace. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Willem for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. I'll see you guys next week with another video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.